Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason, and I'm here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas. And you are on my YouTube channel, New Dimensions. Like and subscribe if you like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Today, let's jump right in with solar weather. What's happening with the sun? It's been mostly quiet for stuff that's happening our way. So you might have felt, like last week, a little bit of withdrawal or low energy or almost feeling like you were trudging through mud because the solar energy gives us our vitality. And so when it's low functioning, just like when it's high functioning, it sort of has an effect on us. And so this week, not much has happened. There was a large coronal hole that just passed Earth facing. And so that energy, which they call a plasma stream, is going to be coming at us, should be hitting sometime today, Wednesday, if you're watching this on Wednesday. And remember, solar flares are sort of a heightened flutter. Plasma coronal hole streams are more of a pressure, right? So you might feel sort of squeezed or held down or held back or sort of not feeling like you're gaining any traction when those kinds of energies hit. And then also yesterday, there was a large not Earth directed explosion, coronal mass ejection off the backside of the sun. And that was caused by a comet diving into the sun, right? And so another thing to pay attention to that sort of affects our solar weather, even though it was off the backside, right? We still have an electromagnetic connection to the sun. And so that will sort of reverberate in. So if you sort of felt uneasy or sort of felt some things break loose yesterday, that would have been the large explosion out the back of the sun. And of course, that large of a flare would have caused a lot of technological damage, if not some sort of psychic damage and even other kinds of things if it would have been Earth facing. Check your space weather to sort of look at, I think it's called a coronagraph or solar stuff, and watch how that sort of, I think maybe it's in a SOHO satellite, and see how that explosion off the back looks and sort of just imagine that coming our direction. And so that's the solar stuff that's happening. We're moving in the northern hemisphere into winter, right? So we're going to get less directed sun energy, right? So try to get out in the sun if you can, so you can stay energized. I think that's all that's happening with the sun. Let's jump right into the stars. Even though the sun is a star, let's jump into these stars that are farther away. And just sort of a reminder, we are currently under 5 retrogrades. Pluto went away, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But we're currently still under Saturn retrograde till November the 3rd. Saturn is really about occupation, work stuff, career. What are you here to do for the planet kind of stuff, right? So sometimes that's finding time to do what you're here for the planet, or sometimes that's actually aligning your career so that all of your effort during your day, during your work day, during your recreational time, during your downtime, you're still working towards the same goal, right? So that's sort of the Saturn energy in retrograde. So you're working on that. Maybe there's a lot of decisions around, not liking your job for the reasons that it's not fulfilling. Not that anything's necessarily bad about it or that the money's bad, but just there's something more that you feel like you want to do. You might be feeling that. Neptune is also still in retrograde till December the 6th. And so Neptune is really about deeply sort of spiritual understanding of the path, right? Like, who are you as a divine eternal soul? What does that soul, right? What have you always done? Like, if you believe in past lives, what has been your general theme of being alive on this planet, and what are you trying to anchor in? So that's Neptune kind of energy. Chiron still in retrograde, and that's really about old patterns, right? And so um it's kind of like if you're trying to do something new in your life, but you got the same eating pattern, or you have the same repetitive meal. Like, say your family gets together every Sunday and eats a very similar thing, but those things aren't along with your diet anymore, along with what you're doing, and they sort of hold you back. That would be an old pattern that's easy to recognize. Sometimes there's some older hidden patterns of early childhood, a regular phrase you might have heard outside of yourself, a learning you got in first or second grade that doesn't hold true anymore, maybe even wasn't true then. That's the kind of stuff that Chiron sort of helps you let go of, or examine what kind of patterns are holding you back. Uranus still in retrograde. Chiron is in retrograde until December 26th. Uranus is in retrograde until the 27th of January, so next year in 2024. This is really just about independence and trusting yourself, right? Do you need a cover? Do you need a partner? Do you need somebody to sort of, shield you to do your stuff, or do you need to stand in your own sovereignty, that you can do things on your own, that your ideas are right, that your beliefs are for you correct kind of energy. Um, and then that leads us to the last one, the fifth one, Jupiter, which is going to be in retrograde till the 31st of December. And Jupiter is really planning, structure, action. Really, it's so large, right? It's about considering your worth, your value, right, in a larger sense. And it's also about bringing abundance, right? So it's what kind of practices and understandings of yourself can you do to magnify the abundance, which is there at a soul level, so that it could be there at a interpersonal level and maybe even a career level, right? So bringing in financial abundance, bringing in abundance of friends, right? Maybe even using the abundance of friends to be even more financially abundant, right? Like doing things as groups, or relying on your friends to maybe, support your business endeavors, or all this restructuring that you're doing on the inside, right? And then those that sort of can't, or will, those that can't, won't. And then those that sort of think it's not their sort of place, maybe they're sort of the ones that come out of the patterns, and you move on to something different, right? So that's the kind of energy to mess with that. And so Pluto goes direct today, probably into yesterday, right? Started going direct. It's always about a 24, 36 hour, maybe even 48-hour shift before it goes from backwards to forwards. And so Pluto is really about understanding the hidden parts of yourself, right? Hidden talents. And so now, really, all of that hidden stuff that you sort of examine that you had power to do, that could be psychic abilities, that could be understandings, that could be a skill set that all of a sudden you understand is monetizable, and you can make that a business to go through that perfect career kind of stuff. Um, all of the release of old hurts should be going right. There's still a post shadow, but really all the releasing of like old things that you're like, this hurts me, therefore I act or live like this. You should have been able to remove that stuff, and rather than live out of the hurt, live out of a new pattern. And so Pluto should have been helping you with that. So that's a lot of the energy that's going to be today, and that's going to move into tomorrow as well. And then that's going to be Thursday. Thursday is an 11 master day, right? So when you do, um, what is tomorrow? What is today? I don't even know what today is, but when you do the math, right? So you divide it up into individual numbers, individual numbers, and you add those all up, and then you reduce them down, right? So that it's a single digit. You get 11, or you can't reduce it anymore until it gets to 11. And so it goes down to an 11th master day. Uh, Jupiter, right? So Jupiter being in control, Jupiter being large, Jupiter being about abundance. Jupiter sort of being in that retrograde is going to pair with that master 11 day to sort of give you the energy to sort of take control, right? And that's really what Pluto sort of released you from old patterns. Now you've got a master day with Jupiter helping out. Moves us into Friday. This Friday is Friday the 13th. Not necessarily the trepidation of old when you understand numerology. 13 and Friday the 13th is really Goddess Day, or divine feminine energy. And so this is the last Friday the 13th of 2023. And so that's also leading into the new moon. So what kind of capacities in yourself are being reborn or rebirthed? Uh, Something's moving across the screen. Reborn or rebirthed on Friday and Saturday. And then that leaves us into Saturday, Sunday, which is the new moon solar eclipse. Um, and so that new moon solar eclipse is going to really be a reboot of just being able to sort of take off. Right. So let's just get into it. Solar eclipses are really sort of a reboot of the energy that funds the system. And the moon is really the capacity of the system itself, right? So we're having a dual thing happen, right? A new moon is a new start. It's the beginning when the moon goes dark. It will be cutting in front of an eclipse of the sun. So it's going to be a control alt delete of that solar energy. So it's going to be a whole new mix of energy that happens during that solar eclipse on Saturday, Sunday. So when you're experiencing the eclipse, just sort of notice that's the time to sort of look for all of these things you've been doing and all for this energy to have its effect, right? Where, hey, nothing's happening, or I don't know what to do, right? You should feel during that energy that it's a push right towards a direction where you're almost like there's only one or two things you can do and you'll like one more, and you'll be able to choose that, right? And so that leads us into Tuesday of next week, last day of the 7 days that we do, Wednesday to Tuesday. And Tuesdays really act as big and special as you are or believe that you're becoming, right? So all of these things that you've been working on, the energy of Tuesday is now act like that. And that's not just a behavior thing. That's not just a belief thing. That's really, even if you don't think that you're to the point where you are completed or that you're ready for public display, start to act like that anyway, right? And so there might be some incongruence in your immediate sort of interactions with people at work, even family. They're like, who are you all of a sudden, right? But if you don't start to act like these things that you've discovered about yourselves, right, they're gonna have a tendency with all this extra energy, if they're not utilized, to sort of sink back down into the sediment of the hidden self. And then that would have been a waste of like all this stuff that's happening to you, right? So that gets us into Tuesday, right? When it's the end of the week. Of course, if any of this is jacking with you, like it's jacking with me, you might be feeling a little bit distracted, maybe a little bit fatigued. All of this energy happening at once. You know, the seasons have changed. The sun and the moon are acting upon us. The earth is going through birthing pains or destroying itself, depending on how you feel about that, right? But there's something happening. There's a creation happening inside of yourself, and while that's okay to be aware of that stuff, to focus on that instead of the self, right? So focusing on that delays the growing or the growth of the self and the benefit of what you can do, so that less of the chaos is propagated, and more of the peace is pushed into the world rather than accepting the chaos that's coming, right? So us working on ourselves is creating a better future, even though it feels like there's a lot of things falling apart. So you can do it. Of course, I'm always here at newdimensionscrystals.com. If you need a session, you can go online and book that. Breathwork, getting just breathing right is going to help you move through a lot of this stuff. If you need some alignments, you can sign up for a cleanse. If you need some connection to higher energy sources and higher forms of the self, you can get a connect. And of course, if you're just, all discombobulated and need to reorganize the self and integrate, then you can sign up for an integrate session. All that's on the website. You can book online. And of course, if you're in Brenham, Texas, go ahead and come by the shop. The hours should be correct on Google. So go ahead and check Google for hours. Sometimes Apple and Apple Maps has it wrong. So if you're looking for my correct hours, they're on the website, but they're also on Google correctly. Last time I looked, at least. And so you can come by and see me in the shop. Sometimes it's a respite just to be in this place where the perspective, the intention is to have a full alignment and to clear away things that are out of alignment. So even if you don't get a session, you just come in, get some incense, buy rock. That energy coming through the shop is going to work for you too. It's been wonderful, everybody. Until next week, many blessings.